All right, so in this video, I just want to show my side rail setup since I did have a question about that and was asked to make a quick video, which probably won't be so quick. But anyway, keep in mind, my setup with the timbers here was not made for scrapping. It was made for transporting a 12-foot canoe that's split in half into 6-foot sections. And when I'd go camping or take the canoe out on the lake or river, I would put the canoe up top here so that I could use the bed or vice versa. And that way, it would give me a lot more room to utilize for camping equipment. So when I started scrapping, I decided to dig this thing back out. Now, just like that rail there, I have another one down here that would go across here. So these are only landscaping timbers that were just cut down to size. And then what I did is I drilled a hole through the timber, and then down here is just a 2x4 that I cut to fit in the slot, and then it goes down to the cradle, which is probably right about here. And so I did that in all 4 corners. I only have 2 on each side because it's a short bed. And the 2-foot rebar is just pounded through the undersized hole and then into the 2x4. So these 2 pieces stay together, and I can pull out the entire unit in one piece, since all of this stays together with basically tension from the rebar and an undersized hole. So when I was transporting the canoe, it was mostly a lateral load that I would, tie off on these eyelets here that I put along the rail, and these are kind of deep so that they don't come out, and again with undersized holes so that they're secure. But when I started scrapping, I had a lot more vertical load, and so what would happen is it would start to pull these out, which would be obviously dangerous. So what I did is I just took some ratchet straps, and then I have a hook down below, and I ratcheted the whole thing down, and I have that in all 4 corners. So now this thing is nice and solid, and I can put a vertical load on it without it pulling up. With a horizontal load, the tension would actually keep that in place, and I really wasn't using it to transport really heavy items, so it wasn't really a concern. This timber up here is actually, it's got a plate up here to stop the rebar from going all the way through, and then that was basically just held on by tension. It wouldn't move. But since I started scrapping, and since I do straps off of these handles here, then I just have the bungee cord holding it down. I don't put a vertical load on this. I'll only attach from here down so that it keeps the pressure down, and I don't have to worry about it popping off. So that's pretty much the setup. It has worked so far. I do want side rails to a certain degree, and I have a pallet that is going to provide me with side rails that go up to about here. And I just need U-bolts because I want to put U-bolts around this so that I can slide it on and off very easily. And I don't want it attached all the time, because when I'm picking, when I'm going out scrapping, I end up loading stuff from the side all the time, and I would hate to have side rails that go all the way up to here and I can't reach over for bungeeing things down, things of that nature. So I'll probably only use the side rails when I take a large load to the scrapyard. Other than that, they probably won't be on the vehicle. I'll have to decide that when I finally get around to putting them on. And yes, I do have tennis balls to put over the top of this, but I'm a huge procrastinator, and hopefully I don't impale myself before I finally put those on, because yeah, that is probably a pretty decent hazard. So other than that, some things I want to point out, and one is you probably don't see that I have my load strapped down when I'm filming, and the reason for that is I just don't need the comments that I'm not doing it your way, so it's the wrong way. So I hardly ever show what it looks like when the load is strapped down, but a couple of times you will see me take off these bungee cords. Now, before you say that bungee cords are garbage, these aren't your father's or your grandfather's bungee cords. The EPDM ones and the rubber ones, I mean, they're horrible. They do not last in the weather. I don't like them myself. These things, these hooks, I've nearly lost an eye a couple of times because of those. These are called the Perfect Bungee, and I have used these traveling for over 2 years, and these have been sitting on the top of my Jeep through the Mojave Desert all the way up to the Arctic Ocean, so freezing cold temps in North Dakota, the hot desert of California, and they have held up extremely well. They are pretty expensive to buy online. However, Home Depot just started selling the adjustable black one for $5 a piece. Definitely well worth it in my opinion. Pick up a couple, try them out. I'm not affiliated with them at all, but when I get a product that I love, then I'm going to talk about it. And I love these. I must have 12 of them. I've taken 2 of the 36-inch ones, I've interlocked them together, and that gives me great support to hold things down from shifting or lighter things down while I'm driving. And that goes across the bed depending on how high the load is, or I can do it diagonally, and then I can also loop it on itself if I need to. But in the cases where I need to really secure down heavy things or make sure that things don't fly off the vehicle, I still do rely on ratchet straps. I have a few of those in the truck, and I do use those regularly. But when you're just trying to hold down a load from shifting, or you have a light load, these things are awesome. Actually, the company, when I met them at an Overland Expo, they hold down their spare tires on top of the roof with those things, and they'll do the job, and they're not gonna crack, fade, or anything. With all the scrapping that I've done and all the sharp edges of things that I've held down with these, they have not nicked, they have not cut, or anything like that. It isn't a complete replacement for the strap. The ratchet strap, that is, I mean, that's a great tool, and you need to utilize that when the time calls for it. But these Perfect Bungees are awesome. They do make them without the adjustments, and they are cheaper, but yeah, take a look at them, get yourself a couple, and then form your own opinion. But I think these are perfect. I use them for travel, I use them for scrapping, and I swear by them. They are an awesome product. So anyway, that's my spiel on that. And if you have any questions, or I didn't answer a question, let me know. And also, one other thing, when I put this timber across here, it's just held on by tension. Once I have it on, it does not want to come off. It's actually quite a bit of a pain to deal with. And on top of that, the reason that I do have it is because when my tailgate's closed and I have long items that are going to come past the bed tailgate, if I have that timber there going across, the items can sit on the timber, and then I can still open up the tailgate and get stuff in it without that stuff falling down. So that's why I carry that around. Sometimes I do lean stuff up towards the back, not very often, but it's more for keeping long items above the tailgate and out of the way when I open the tailgate. So that's that. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments below, and I'll talk to you later.